Hey everyone, it's Bergeron back here with you, and we're doing painting for absolute beginners again. So today we're going to look at some color, and we're going to look at just a real simple, easy color wheel, and we're going to apply some of that color theory to our little still life that we've been working on. Everybody's probably seen one of these. It's a pocket color wheel, and basically what I want you to take from this pocket color wheel is that there are three primary colors: yellow, red, and blue. And those are the main colors that you're going to find in pretty much every palette that you're ever going to see an artist use. So again, it's yellow, blue, red. All right. When we mix yellow and blue together, we get green. Green is a secondary color. When we mix yellow and red together, we get orange. Orange is a secondary color. And when we mix red and blue together, we get violet. We also call that purple. All right? So three primaries and three secondaries. The three primaries again, red, yellow, blue. The three secondaries, green, orange, purple, or violet. All right? Don't make it any more complicated than that. This is painting for absolute beginners, so keep it really simple. Three primaries, three secondaries. Well, the thing that can be learned from that is that these primaries and secondaries sit across the color wheel from each other. So red is a primary, and a secondary that sits across the color wheel from it is green. And blue is a primary, and a secondary that sits across the color wheel from it is orange. And yellow is a primary, and across the color wheel from it sits purple or violet. All right, so across from every primary is a secondary. All right, the reason that's important is because if you want your red to jump off the page, you put a little bit of green beside it, or vice versa. If you want your yellow to jump off the page, you put a little bit of purple beside it, and vice versa. If you want your blue to pop off the page, you put a little bit of orange beside it. So if we looked at our composition that we have here as a whole, we'll see that we have a lot of orange in this orange, and we have some orange, mostly yellow and red, that have mixed together to make the orange in the apple. And on the bottom down here, we have a banana that has really no orange in it. But what would be the complement to a yellow banana? Well, if I want yellow to stick off the page, I put purple near it. All right? There's also yellow in this apple, so you could put purple near it. So what I want to do today with you is I just want to explore that a little bit and have you understand that there's primaries and secondaries, and if I want to complement one color, I use the color that sits directly across the color wheel from it. All right? It's not really that difficult. Just get down to the fact that there's three primaries and we're just using three of these secondary colors. All right? Okay, well, let's have a look at that. So if I wanted my yellow banana to jump off the page, I need to put purple near it. So one of the things that I want to help you understand here today is that in my palette, I actually have a purple. You probably have a purple in your palette also. I'm not going to make it any more difficult. I'm just going to use this purple that's in my palette. I'm not going to try to mix purple today. This is about primaries and secondaries and complementary colors, and I have one already, okay? So get some brushes. To tell you the truth, I'm only going to use a couple of brushes here today. I'm going to probably start off with just this, which is a 1/2 inch flat brush. And if you remember in a previous video, we talked about how to tell if it's a flat brush or a round brush. All right. This is a 1/2 inch flat brush. Okay. And I need you to also make sure you have a tissue and grab your palette full of paint, and you're going to need some water. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to take some water, quite a bit of water, and I'm going to put it into my purple. All right. And I'm just going to give it a little stir around. I'm not trying to pick up much color. I'm actually trying to make it fairly diluted. All right. Now, the thing that we talked about before was that the color will only stay on the page where it's wet, right? So this is a very wet brush, very dry page. So this is wet on dry. This is one of the techniques that we're going to talk about today. Wet paint on a dry page. And if you remember, I talked before about the color will only stay where I put it, all right? So that color won't run into that orange, that color won't run into that banana. That purple is only going to stay where I put it. And if you've noticed something here just in the last couple of seconds, that purple has already made that banana start to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to paint right up to the banana, but I'm not going to touch the banana. So I'm going to be very careful here. All right? I'm not going to touch the orange, and I'm not going to touch the banana. And you'll see my 1/2-inch brush is hanging on to quite a bit of paint. I'm going to pick up a little bit more. And I'm going to make the table go right across here. So this is going to be like a purple tablecloth, if you will. And again, I'm just using a 1/2-inch. This is a 1/2-inch flat brush. I'm going to keep picking up some color here. I'm just going to spread it out a little bit. But I'm not going to touch my orange, and I'm not going to touch my banana. All right? Just keeping it very controlled. I'm not working really fast. I'm not touching the other objects. I'm just keeping it very, very controlled. And we're just going to leave that for a minute. Okay? So, if I wanted to think about what is the complement to orange, because I have an orange here and I have some oranges going on in my apple. Well, here's my orange on my color wheel, and my complement to it, the color that is directly across the color wheel, is blue. So if I want to make my orange, like in my orange and my apple, stand out on the page, I'm going to simply just put blue beside it. So I'm going to paint the rest of this background around here. I'm going to cover that with blue. All right. So I have a couple of blues here. I really like this blue, which I believe is ultramarine blue. But I'm going to pick up quite a bit of water, put it in here, give it a little stir, pick up a little bit of pigment, and then I'm going to fill my brush. All right. So here's a question for you. I'm painting with blue paint that's wet on a dry page. But this piece of the page down here, where I put the purple on, that piece of the page is wet. So what's going to happen to my blue paint when it hits this purple? When it hits the purple wet area? What do you think is going to happen? The blue is probably going to bleed into where the purple is. That might be a cool effect, but it might not be what I'm looking for. In this particular instance, it is kind of going to be what I'm looking for, so I'm going to be okay if it happens. But I want you to be aware that that's probably going to be an outcome if the blue paint touches the already wet purple. Okay? So I'm just going to start. I'm going to put some blue on here around this apple. I'm going to be really careful if I can. I'm going to go around my orange here up to where the purple line is, but not completely up to it yet. And I'm going to keep pulling some paint away from the area where it's fairly concentrated here. I'm going to pull it out away from that stem. And you'll see I have a little area here where the blue has touched the red of the apple. So I'm going to just take my tissue and I'm going to take that blue right off there. You'll see most of it came right off. All right. I also took out some of the blue though. I'm going to pick up a little bit more water and a little bit more blue paint. And I'm going to come back around to this side. I'm going to leave that piece that I just touched alone. And I'm going to come back around to this side, use my flat brush, get into some of the little tiny cracks around here, and then I'm just going to pull the color away. Now if you want to get up closer, you're welcome to. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white space around there, I think. And I'm trying to keep all my brush strokes going right to left, left to right. All right, now pick up a little bit more blue paint here. And again, I'm going to go left to right, right to left. I'm painting fairly quickly here because I'm trying to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So you might want to take a little bit more time with yours. All right, so I have this little area down in here, right? So I'm going to grab a number 4 Winsor Newton watercolor brush, a little bit of blue paint, and I'm going to get into this little tiny area here with my smaller brush. And again, just go right to left, left to right. And maybe around here where there's a little bit of the white of the page showing, and I don't want there to be, I'm going to fill that in with a little bit of blue paint. All right. There we go. And so none of that blue bled into that purple. I think the purple was fairly dry before I got to it, so that didn't really happen. But I can make it happen. So I have a wet brush now. My brush is fairly wet, and I can go along here and just make it a little bit wet and allow the blue and the purple to blend together if I so chose. You can see where the blue is starting to come down into there, and a little bit of the blue is starting to make its way across there. Basically that's it. That's everything that I wanted to show you today. So I want to go over one more time the color wheel, the 3 primaries, red, blue, yellow, 3 secondary colors, and you get a secondary color by adding 2 primaries together. So add yellow and blue and you get green, add blue and red and you get purple, add red and yellow and you get orange. And across the color wheel, wherever there's a primary, there's a secondary, and that's also called a complement. So blue complements orange, orange complements blue, red complements green, green complements red, purple complements yellow, yellow complements purple. And if you see on our page here, this purple makes this yellow stand out a whole lot more, and this blue makes our oranges stand out a whole lot more. All right, so I hope you picked up a tip or a trick today. I hope you learned something about color, primaries and secondaries and complements. It's really not that difficult. I hope if you picked up a tip or a trick that you'll leave me a comment in the comment section, and click liked. If you like this video, please click liked. If you're not currently a subscriber, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate everybody that becomes a subscriber and everybody that leaves me a comment, everybody that clicks liked. I really do appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. This has been Painting for Absolute Beginners with Rod Bergeron. See you next time.